You're up, Commissioner.
All right, Bannock County Commissioners are now in session. First item on our agenda looks like it's going to be, well, depends which way I go. Let's go ahead and do the indigent and then we'll do our claims and stuff.
Indigent Services, Chantel Latwulu. The first case that I have for you is case number 20250011. It's an application for cremation expenses through Cornelison Funeral Home in the amount of $1,200. The application was submitted by the funeral home. The deceased does meet all Idaho Code criteria to be eligible for assistance through the indigent program, and there is no responsible party available for reimbursement of this request at this time. For case number 20250012, this application is submitted for cremation expenses through Manning Wheatley Funeral Home in the amount of $1,200. It is submitted by the funeral home, and the deceased meets all Idaho Code criteria to be eligible for assistance through the indigent program, and there is no responsible party available for repayment of this request at this time. And then for case number 20250013, it's a cremation application submitted through Hawker Funeral Home in the amount of $1,200. The applicant is the daughter of the deceased. The deceased is a Bannock County resident and meets all Idaho Code criteria to be eligible for assistance through the indigent program. And the applicant has agreed to a $25 a month repayment plan upon approval of this application.
So we're going out of county and pay somebody to cremate. Who gets the choice of where they go?
The applicant does. And we don't pay for any transportation fees. That's completely up to the funeral home.
Questions?
No. Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve request 2025-0011, 0012, and 0013 as presented.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And then Commissioner Moser, I do have 2 liens for signature of accounts that have been paid in full for release of lien.
Okay. Oh, there's one more. All right, let's go back and we'll go over the commissioner's report, invoices, and credit applications. Any questions, concerns?
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the invoices, commissioners' report, and credit applications as included in the packet.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's for some shelving.
Did you miss one there?
And this is a credit application for the Hilton Gardens in Boise.
Yes, because Randy went and stayed there for the assessors conference and the ATI, and we did not have a direct website. I thought we did, but they told him we didn't, so.
We did. Jeff and I stayed there multiple times.
I thought we did.
Yeah.
She couldn't find it. So I'll let Christina know before she submits that to double check, but she's the one that called and got the application.
Yeah.
I thought it was weird because it's right there and we have a lot of us that,
Jeff and I have stayed there. I mean,
yeah.
I think I stayed there.
it's not my favorite, but we've stayed there. All right, next we have salary rate approval form.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the salary approval form.
We have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And next we have alcohol licenses.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the alcohol licenses as presented.
We have a motion, all in favor say aye. Aye. All right. Well, Shanda, it looked like you're up.
Good morning, Commissioners. Shanda Crystal, Chief Procurement Officer. I have 4 items before the board today. The first is I'm requesting a signature on a contract with Teton Smart Security. This is in regards to the exhibit hall in Downey. It didn't need to go through procurement as far as bidding goes, but we do want to have it under contract to meet all ARPA requirements. Is why we put it in contract for you today. They handle the fire alarms for us. It is consistent with the rest of the county properties that we have. And I would like to recommend the board sign the contract with Teton Smart Security for $9,882.
Any questions?
Nope.
Motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the contract as presented.
We have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that was Teton?
That was Teton Smart Security.
Okay.
Was that-
That one's right here. Jason needs to sign that also.
Oh,
Okay.
So the next item I have before the board is a potential signature on a contract with Idaho Wholesale Hardware. This again is for the exhibit hall. It also did not have to go out to bid, but we would like it under our contract for ARPA requirements. This is the company that we are ordering the doors through. I would recommend the board sign the contract with Idaho Wholesale Hardware for $46,159.
These are part of the requirements to show obligation. We have to have them under contract so that we can use ARPA funds after December 31st, so.
I'm tickled to be as far along as we are and sign these contracts. Questions?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the contract with Idaho Wholesale Hardware as presented.
We have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
The
Go ahead.
The next item I have before the board is the potential signature on a contract with Razor Electric, also for the exhibit hall project. This one did go out to bid and was awarded in regards to the invitation to bid. They did win, and they have met all ARPA requirements to sign the contract. I would recommend the board sign the contract with Razor Electric for a total of $144,200.
Questions?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the contract with Razor Electric.
We have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Go down there and make sure this project's on the fast track.
Right, that is part of my next one is the procurement update. That exhibit hall, right, we do have our groundbreaking today at 2. We're super excited for that. And Teton West is on schedule. The plan was to have equipment on site this morning. If that happened, they'll even have a start to a hole in the ground before we get there. They'll pause for a moment while we do our groundbreaking and then just pick back right back up. They do have plans to have that excavated and then the form and pour all structural concrete in the next 2 weeks before Christmas, barring Mother Nature throwing any curbs at us. That's what we're hoping for. So.
It is December in Idaho.
Right, you never know. But that is the goal. I've got a couple more of those contracts to be signed. A couple more on your agenda for next Tuesday, and we're hoping to wrap that up next week. I do need to apologize. I started last meeting letting you know that I failed to put the ambulance piggyback on here. Well, I've done it 2 weeks in a row. So that one, we were piggybacking off a Sourcewell contract on that one. That contract, or that review has been complete. So I just wanted to report that back to the board. I believe the ambulance department has requested to be on your agenda next week to make that request. So then we can jump to the top of the actual update. That is the communication upgrade. I have reported occasional hurdles with that project as far as getting that antiquated system that we have upgraded. We believe we have found a bright new path to move forward. So we are just getting a few more details and hoping to have more information before the board next week. But that's kind of the final big project as far as ARPA funding goes, to be able to finalize them. So we are down to the wire. The sheriff's office is moving as quickly as possible, and we'll get that back before the board. I did want to touch base on the YDC project. We got the permit this week, and we will have teams on site next week to review the demoing of a couple of buildings that we have up there that need to go. And the hopes is to break ground for that project in January. Again, hoping Mother Nature plays ball. There is a little bit of winter conditions that they had built into that contract already, but I did make it clear that we want to move forward as quickly as we can with the budget that has already been approved. We're not doing additional stuff outside of that at this time. So if they had any requests or anything like that, they would work through the normal channel, which is Dan, and Dan would bring those requests to you. But at this time, they have some winter conditions, and we're moving forward as quickly as we can with that one. And the final one is the tactical training remodel. That one's also began. We began excavating, and they also plan to form and pour concrete in the next 2 weeks. So yeah, we are moving just as quickly as paperwork and Mother Nature allows.
Nuts. On all these projects, because we are so tight on our budgets, change orders, we don't want any.
Right.
Plain and simple.
I did appreciate a conversation I had with Pro Builders yesterday in regards to that. There were some things, as with all projects, as soon as they got into that project, they're like, oh, that's not what we thought was there. They found a foundation below where we were building that add-on. And so that was a unique find down there. But their opinion is similar to ours, right? That they bid the project. They want to work through and see if there's other money-saving opportunities before then they come back and ask for change orders, which I said we appreciated, but we also understand that there are things that we don't know until we dig dirt. So I appreciated that conversation with them, but they're also under that same understanding.
Well, I appreciate you having that conversation.
But yeah, the weirdest thing, she's like, we found a foundation under there. So they're chipping that out, but right, moving forward just as prudently as we can.
Okay. Questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hal?
Good morning, Commission. Hal Jensen, Planning Director, Bannock County. I need to change the agenda, speak about the agreement as requested by the City of Chubbuck, and then go to the signing of the plat.
Okay.
You have all of the information in front of you relative to the signing of final plat for Phase 5 of Westfield Estates. In the process of constructing, there was a pressurized irrigation line that is in the right-of-way underneath the asphalt that missed any inspections for compaction, etc. And the City of Chubbuck was concerned. They've asked Bannock County to participate in a 10-year warranty, etc. It's outside of our purview. I don't recommend that Bannock County go into any type of agreement on the development agreement. Here's the reasons why. The homeowners association, under the codes, covenants, and restrictions of the subdivision, own the irrigation line. If it fails, it's their responsibility as the homeowners association to fix the line. If they have to cut the road to fix the line, they're going to end up repairing the road anyway. Okay? So it's covered under the CC&Rs as well as the development agreement between the City of Chubbuck and the developer, not Bannock County. It's not part of our ordinance. We don't have any enforcement, etc. So I'm going to ask that you make a recommendation that we not participate, so that I can take that back to the city of Chubbuck and have them strike that from the development agreement.
Okay. I had a couple of questions after reading through this last night. Is this in the area of city impact?
It is.
And so, why would they ask us to do this if it's in that area of city impact, which is technically their purview anyway?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Everything's being developed to their standards, and it caught us off guard.
Okay.
But because we don't have anything in our ordinance for enforcement, et cetera, and knowing that there is a enforcement mechanism in place through the CCNRs, then I think we're covered.
Okay. And you answered my question, is who is responsible for the streets and the infrastructure of that, which is the homeowners association, correct?
So two items. As it stands now, it's in the county, even though it's in the area of city impact and being developed according to the city of Chubbuck's standards for ribbon curb, asphalt section, et cetera, with rights of way, on and on and on, okay? Up until this is completely built out, then the agreement is that the city will then request annexation and take possession of that entire subdivision. As it stands now, we own it until it's annexed. And that's why they asked us to be a participant up until annexation. And I don't want to put the county on the hook for something that was missed and already has an enforcement mechanism, so.
Is there anything in the way of annexation in the future?
Yes.
What's that?
Once this is phased out and built out, then the agreement is that it becomes annexed.
And do they have a time frame on that to finish the build out?
Depends on the economy.
Okay. Well, when I read through this last night, I had heartburn over doing that because, again, I didn't feel like where it's in the area of city impact, it's not our issue.
Just an FYI, if it was under a county, strictly under a county ordinance and development standards, the pressurized irrigation lines would be in an easement, not in the right-of-way buried underneath the asphalt.
And that's my deal there. I mean, even if it is in the city area or in the area of impact, we don't have to follow the city's rules. We follow county's rules, but because of the agreement that it's going to be annexed, it makes sense to follow the city's rules. I mean, that's the same thing that we've done out here on South Fifth with the city of Pocatello. I mean, so there's two different sets of rules depending on what you're following, and so we agreed to go with their rules. So I agree that we don't have the obligation myself.
Okay.
Anything, John?
Do you want a formal decline?
Yeah, I would like something that is on the record so that I can then take it back to the city of Chubbuck and say, hey, if you feel you need to rewrite your development agreement and take us out of it, then take us out of it. So just an FYI, this development agreement has been recorded through Jason's office on 11/22 of 24. And we just wanted to let the city know that that's between you and the developer. We're not involved. So, okay?
Yeah, so Mr. Chair, I would move that we decline providing a written statement in support of this 10-year warranty.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. That said, I have before you Westfield Estates Phase 5 for final plat and signatures. Meets all of the requirements of the ordinance, county ordinance, developed to a city standard with the oversight of the city of Chubbuck, and recommend that a motion is made to accept it and sign.
Mr. Chair, I would move that we accept and sign the plat as requested.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Fix date, December 24, please.
I did those last time. I'm making you do them.
6th. I never put the date on. Everybody else always does.
That's how I felt.
That's it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kyle, you're up.
Morning.
Hi.
Kyle Burmester, Public Works Director for Bannock County. Got before you today a couple agreements pertaining to the grooming operation. Normally, we have two different agreements that we do each year. One is for the operation through the Forest Service that while we're operating up on their properties. And the other is for a parking lot cleaning. This year we have an extra one, starting off with the one through Idaho Department of Parks and Rec. This one is a new one because they had agreements with different counties, different cities. They didn't have all one master plan. So pretty much this first agreement that you're looking at is their correction to try to make it that it's statewide master plan, so they don't have so many of them out there. Makes it a lot simpler. This is for the funding of the snowmobile fund. The
So on this one, as I was reading through there, and I think that things went a lot smoother this past year, but there's a lot of reporting. Is that being done?
So I noticed that in this one, and in your next agreement is they kind of reference what we're going to do with our operations plan and reporting with that. And so I cut that all out of the operations plan because there was a couple different things in there like signage and it even talks about that in here that we weren't, they haven't even set up like a signage program and all of that, so it's kind of like, why are we agreeing to that? We do the certain reporting that auditing does each year, and so we cover them things, but some of that like monthly and a bunch of them different reports, I said we communicate enough with you, why are we needing to do them, so we took them out of the operations plan,
So that's out of this one.
out of that second one, so that one,
Well, then-
the second one kind of goes off of this and what we're gonna do. The first one's more broad and across the whole state.
Yeah, and that's what kind of bothers me a little bit, is because we're promising to do a lot of things. And the reporting, I mean, it's monthly and it's all, you know, all kinds of stuff, and if this contradicts with this, which one has precedence? I mean, does it state in this and that it overrides this one?
How I had it, how they acted with me is that one's just the state and this is what, they put every requirement in there and then we can adjust it to what we're doing in our location, but they have to put everything in there because of so many agencies involved.
Yeah, I mean, there's, how many signatures here?
A lot.
A bunch.
So that's,
So
so
you're-
that's what the annual operation plan is kind of like our own set of what we're doing here, because we do things a little different than maybe Island Park.
So then you're saying that our annual operating plan would supersede the
Yes,
statewide agreement?
yes. We're not going against really anything in here, we're just, some stuff we're cutting out and doing it differently.
When is this, when do we have to have this document signed?
They wanted it by December, but they've been kind of having internal stuff going back and forth on this master plan because they wanted to have the Forest Service have their own plan for here or their own agreement, and they kind of argued internally on having like a master plan that covered the whole thing. There's other stuff in the master plan that says like the advisory committee will deal with financing, and we do that a little different too. So it's all dependent on how you have yours set up.
Have our attorneys looked at this?
Yes.
You know, I'm getting the sense that it isn't, maybe it's not clear which agreement supersedes which. It might be good to get confirmation from our, unless I'm missing something.
Thought on the first of this one it said
Which one?
the second agreement.
The master plan, or the annual operating plan?
Yeah, the annual operating plan.
And that's one like we've signed almost every year.
Yeah. I was just looking to see if it kind of clarified it in that one, because at the first of the annual one, it says, it references this master plan.
I'd have to reading through these just for.
It is, I understand what you're saying. I read the same things that had the extra in there, and then, so that one was the first one, and then I've been working on this annual one with the Forest Service currently to get it to where it works for both of us.
And I guess that's, why do we need both? If this is the agreement with Bannock County and this is the agreement with half the state, I
Yes.
agree with the Forest Service that it probably ought to be regional or countywide or something.
And that's the, kind of the challenge they've been going back and forth is why do we need both of them? And the local still is wanting us to do the one that we've been doing in the past too, so.
Well, we have a meeting scheduled for talking about a county road that is also a snowmobile grooming trail. Is that next week? We've got it scheduled.
I think it is next week.
Yeah, I think it
And
is.
I talked to Christie after reading through this, and I thought, well, we ought to invite the Forest Service to come to that meeting, because they're the ones that have certified this as a grooming trail. So
Mhm.
their input wouldn't hurt. So maybe I'd put this off and have them discuss it a little bit if they
Okay.
show up to that meeting. Any concerns with that?
I don't think anybody will die if we do that.
No, I think that'd be, yeah, it's just been weird. I don't know what they have going on there, but they're kind of going back and forth on.
Well, and the only thing that gives me comfort is there's a 30-day out on that.
Yeah.
I mean, so if we didn't like it or something, we have the out. But I just am a little confused at signing two different contracts that supposedly are supposed to be the same agreement.
Well, in this master plan, it does talk about that we are required to do an annual operations plan that we will work off of. So it does state all that stuff in there, but then it also does say annually you have to do an operations plan and run your operations off of what's in that plan. So it does kind of state in there that the second one is the one that you're working off of.
Okay. And honestly, I'd like them, like I say, we'll invite them to that meeting, and on the record, they can state that to us themselves.
Okay.
Who are you working with over there for these, Kyle?
I'm working with Kim and Samantha from locally, and then Brian Delane out of Idaho Falls is the over the parks and rec.
Okay, I'll give
And-
Kim a call and make sure she's at that meeting.
Yep. I'm sure they'd be just great with that.
Okay?
Yep,
All right, thank you.
you betcha.
All right, Christie.
Krista Clauser, Comptroller. First item I have for the board is, a couple weeks ago, you signed the sales agreement to purchase equipment for Road and Bridge. These are the lease documents associated with that.
All three that were on Shanda's list.
Yeah, probably. I do want to bring to the board's attention, when we sign those sales agreements, we don't necessarily know how much interest we're going to pay and what the total cost is going to be for those assets. I should have paid better attention because one of those is a backhoe. The cost of the backhoe is only $145,000. When I got the amortization schedule, we're going to be paying about $27,000 in interest. That would have been a piece of equipment that we could have purchased outright due to the cost. And it seems like a waste to spend $27,000 when we have the reserves to buy that equipment outright. So I would ask that somehow, and I'm not sure how we're going to do it, just because we never get the lease documents until after the fact, but maybe through the budget process, we talk about the cost of these pieces of equipment and what we can potentially buy outright versus leasing, just to save the interest. At this point, we're kind of committed, so we're going to need to sign the lease documents. Kyle's intent is to lease these and then flip them for new. And we're getting a loader, a grader, and a backhoe. But on the, so just for transparency purposes, the loader, the cost is $349,000. We're going to be paying $67,000 in interest on that. The grader is $431,000. We're going to pay $84,000 in interest. And then again on the backhoe, it's $145,000. We're paying $27,000 in interest. The interest rate is 5.49%. I'm not sure how well this is shopped out either. We're going through cat leasing. We had gone through some in the past. That might be another item that we research is, are we shopping these leases or are we going through one vendor for a specific reason?
And I had a discussion with a local individual, and I'm talking about a chipper this week, and I think that we need to be a little more in-depth on some of these things. Like say, what is our interest rate? What are we paying? What's going on? And then, well, and I appreciate Shanda. I mean, we're going out and getting contracts when we don't have to. But I think that we need to be a little more diligent
On those we won't.
in
Yes.
looking, what is the best options and search a little deeper.
So I'll get with Kyle before budget time and just talk about, hey, if we're gonna have any equipment that we're gonna buy or start the lease process on, let's have a listing of those items a little more clearly so that we can determine if there's abilities to purchase them. Right now, we've got that fleet program, which the problem with our equipment before, I think, was we just weren't staying on top of flipping them. When they became, 5, 10 years old, it was just easy to use it until it died or until, it didn't, but we kept using it. So I think we just need to stay on top of turning the equipment before it's worn out. So.
And that was kind of what they said in that emergency management meeting. A lot of our equipment, we just keep on the shelf, and then when you need to use it, it's no good anymore. I mean, you got to rotate stuff in and out.
And I think they've got a really good plan to go forward, but I just wanted to bring that to your attention. But I do need the lease documents signed. We have the payment ready downstairs. That was part of your commission report. There are a couple of pages that Jason has already signed, and I kept those downstairs. I don't believe they're in your packet because I gave Christie all the pages except what Jason signed. And then I'll work with the leasing agency. As soon as this funds, then I have to send the IRS required forms for leases. So.
Questions? Motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the lease documents as presented.
Have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So if I could have those documents, I'll get copies to Christie. We have to FedEx them differently than others.
It's just my signature.
Yep.
Thank you.
Next item I have for the board is just a quick ARPA update. I wasn't able to do one last month just because we have way too much moving and changing. If we start at the top, I did update the money that we have spent to date on the microwave project. We're still waiting for one last piece. We've made the 2 payments so far. That one was supposed to be done in December. Now we're looking at hopefully January, February. The annex projects are still underway. The Shanda's pretty much done her update. So the only real update I have for you is if you want to look at the spent to date, there's some progress being made. We do have 2 projects that completed since I last reported, the landscaping in front of the sheriff and jail, and then also the booking showers were completed. So those items are done. We have the final payment on the sheep barn, as that building has now been completed as of Monday, I believe. We have some leftover funds available. I wanted to ask the board, there's about $15,000. Are you okay if I just move that to the exhibit hall project? We've got so far budgeted $1,013,000. That'll add that $15,000. That'll put us at about $1,028,000. But if you look at the either second page or the back of this document, that project total is actually about $1,600,000. So the areas that are grayed are the items that we feel can be under contract. That's why the budget in ARPA is less than the $1,600,000, is because we can only contract so many things. We can't contract the kitchen equipment. We don't want to pre-buy those items.
No.
So anything that's not highlighted are what those items are. So I'll move that difference in there if you're okay with that.
I am.
My only question is, which project seems to be a little bit riskier at the moment, the YDC or that? I mean, which one could benefit most from the 15,000 based on what you're seeing at this point in time?
Right now, we have, for the YDC, we have the general contractor price budgeted.
Okay.
We wouldn't be able to contract for change orders because we don't know what those are yet. So that's why if we have any change orders, we'll probably use that PIL fund
Okay.
to cover those. We know we're going to need that 15,000 in the fair exhibit
Okay.
because we've got at least $1,600,000 there. So I think that's the better place to put it.
Okay.
The only project I'm a little concerned about right now is the central.
The central?
For the jail.
Oh, yeah.
Because that one, we don't have firm costs yet. We do have it under contract, but that one we might end up next year putting overages or underages. We might be messing with that next year.
Well, and honestly, I think that's where we'll end up talking to the sheriff and stuff, because we put a lot of ARPA funds out there.
We have.
I mean, they've got their share. And now I think that if there's other things that we're going to have a good conversation with the sheriff to see where them funds are going to come from. Because
The problem is December 31st, when I do that, well, in January, when I do the reporting as of December 31st, I've got to show all these committed, and I cannot change projects. So if we
And
have,
that-
now, if
that's
we have
fine.
overages in YDC, I could take money from, say, Central if we have some problems with it. But it's got to be these projects that are already defined that we use those funds.
Yeah, yeah.
So, which is kind of good because we may have some overages in the YDC building, just because we don't know.
Unknowns.
So we'll see how that.
Well, I want to say thank you. I really appreciate this. There is one error, and it drives me nuts.
What?
And it isn't yours, but it's a payoff enterprise lease complete.
Oh.
We're not complete on that. We have one
One
title
title.
we're waiting for, and they're driving me nuts, but the person that we're dealing with got fired. But anyway, I'm sorry.
I'm like, what'd they do?
It's one of them frustrating things that
Yes.
we've worked so hard. You've worked hard, Shanda's worked hard, and we're waiting for one title.
Yeah, because they lost paperwork.
And now they're going back to the manufacturer
Yeah. Ugh.
to get the paperwork on that one title.
One more, on the camera project, the courthouse cameras are complete, but because the budget for this has multiple locations, I can't show that as complete, but I did want to point out that one phase,
Part of it.
or one,
Phase one?
yeah, is done.
Cool.
I can try to update you again. Shanda's hoping to have all contracts done next week. I don't know if that's going to be the case or not. If they are, I can try and do another update the following week. Otherwise, I may not be able to do another update until like the 30th.
Let's put it on the agenda just to, if it's no
Okay.
different than today, that's okay, but
Okay.
we'll know where we're at and have,
Do you want me to wait until after hers? I could do one in 2 weeks.
let's do it in 2 weeks,
Okay.
I would say.
Okay, and hopefully we'll have some good updates. If nothing else, I'll have dollar updates, because I've only put on here what has actually been paid. And you signed a handful of invoices that
Yeah.
will need to be included in this in 2 weeks. Okay,
Thank you,
I will
thank
do
you,
another
thank
update in 2
you.
weeks.
I mean, we're right down to the deadline, but I feel really good about our projects and what's going on. As people ask me what's going on in the county, and I talk about everything that we're doing, there's a lot.
yes.
And as I told you this morning, Daniel, we put a lot on his plate also. I appreciate him.
And that fair exhibit building is going to be a lot of work on him, because he's basically going to be the general on it.
Mm-hmm.
At least with YDC and tactical, we've got generals that are doing the work.
Yep.
And there's a lot of moving parts to that building down there.
All good.
Yeah.
Do
Okay.
you want a formal motion on that 15,000 reallocation? Are you okay just with our discussion?
I think probably reallocate it,
Okay.
yeah.
Just say to use
So
any-
so yes, or just?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I move that we authorize a reallocation of 15,000
The funds remaining from the sheet farm.
as said to the sheet, or to the
Exhibit.
exhibit hall.
We have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, next we have a memo for signature only. We are giving money to employees. This is one that has retired and wants his share.
Longevity. So we are going to run that through payroll, just simply because it can't be fringed because he's not an active employee. So we'll be able to fringe it if we run it through payroll. It won't take, it'll just take out the fringed. And then we'll figure out if it'll be a direct deposit or a paper check.
Okay.
Wait, I should say, do you want a paper check to hand to him? Or are you okay if we just direct deposit it?
Because he's not currently employed, I mean, to try to get to him and stuff, we'll just send it to him.
Okay.
Any concerns with that? Motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the memo as presented.
A motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next, we have November Commissioner proceedings, and then a signature on public hearing notices, and there's 2 public hearings coming up.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve both public hearing notices and the commissioner's proceedings.
Have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And, that being said, we are